Hello, this is Matthew Corbett, and I'm going to tell you some stories about Sooty, Sweep and Sue. This first story about Sooty and his friends is called A Rainy Saturday. It was a Saturday, and Matthew liked Saturdays. On Saturdays, Sooty, Sweep and Sue played in the garden most of the day whilst Matthew sat and watched his favourite TV programmes or read a book. Yes, Saturday was definitely the best day of the week. Quiet, peaceful and relaxing. He went to his bedroom window, humming a little tune. He did feel happy this morning. Drawing the curtains apart, he looked out. "Oh, no, it's raining," he groaned. He did feel miserable this morning. You see, rainy days were bad news for Matthew. On rainy days, Sooty, Sweep and Sue had to play indoors. And whenever they played indoors, they always ended up arguing or fighting or making a lot of noise. Oh, they would start off peacefully enough, but before very long, the trouble would start, and Matthew would have to drop whatever he was doing and try and restore the peace. He peered at the sky. Perhaps the rain would clear up later in the morning. I wonder what the weather forecast is for today. He switched on the radio and heard the announcer's voice. "And the rain will persist throughout the day and tonight, and will be particularly heavy over Sooty's house. That's the end of the weather forecast. Have a nice day." Matthew switched off the radio. "Have a nice day?" he snorted. "I have a feeling I'm going to have a very noisy day." Suddenly there was a loud bump, followed by an even louder howl. Then another bump, and another howl, coming from the direction of Sooty's bedroom. "Oh, no," Matthew groaned. "They've started already." He hurried along the landing and into Sooty's bedroom. The scene that greeted him was a familiar one. The bedroom floor was littered with toys, and Sooty and Sweep lay in a heap in the middle of them. Sue stood over them, armed with a rag doll which she was using to bash them round the ears. Cries of "Ow, ouch!" and "Help!" came from the sorry-looking pair as Sue really laid into them. All right, that'll be enough," Matthew said, as he dived in to separate them. "Well, this is a fine start to the day, I must say. OK, who started it?" Naturally, each blamed the other. Sue explained that she had been quietly playing with her little toy pony when Sweep had snatched it from her to use in his and Sooty's game of cowboys and Indians. Sweep, of course, denied that he was to blame. He claimed that Sue had trodden on his toy horse, breaking it, so he had borrowed Sue's pony to replace it. Then Sooty said that Sue had pulled him and Sweep out of their beds. Sue said they had fallen out. It was no good. Matthew didn't know who had started the trouble, though he suspected that none of the three was entirely innocent. "Right," he said. "I might as well tell you now it's raining, and you all know what that means, don't you? Yes, that's right. You'll have to play indoors today." Ignoring the groans, Matthew continued. "Now, I don't want any more fighting or arguing today. I've had quite enough. I want a quiet day with all of you playing nicely together. If you can't do that, I shall have to put you in separate rooms. Understand?" They all nodded. "Now off to the bathroom, all of you, whilst I clean up this room and make breakfast." Sooty, Sweep and Sue tore off to the bathroom, shouting, "I'm first!" "No, you're not! My turn for the shower!" Matthew stood in the centre of the bedroom, shaking his head. What a mess! It looked as if a bomb had hit it. There were dolls with arms missing, cars with no wheels, and cars that looked as if they needed transplants. They really ought to take better care of their toys, Matthew thought, as he began piling them into a large box. "I don't know why I bother," he said. "It'll be as untidy as ever by the morning." After tidying up all the toys, he looked out of the window. It was raining even harder. "Oh dear," he said. "It's going to be a long day." How was he going to keep the noisy lot entertained? Suddenly, an idea came to him. Why not have a drawing competition? After all, most youngsters were at their quietest when they were drawing. Yes, that would do the trick. He quickly delved into the toy box and finally found what he was looking for. A huge pack of felt-tip pens and some drawing pads. He gathered them up and went downstairs to make breakfast. At breakfast, the squabbling started again. First, Sue complained that Sooty had 3 more cornflakes than she and Sweep. Then Sweep complained that Sooty was sitting in his chair. Then they started arguing about who should have the last piece of toast. "That is enough," said Matthew. "I shall settle this argument quite easily." And he did. He ate the last piece of toast. "Right, you lot," he said after he'd finished. "We are now going to have a competition." "What sort of competition?" Sooty wanted to know. "A drawing competition, and there will be a prize for the winner." "Oh, good," said Sue. "I'm bound to win." "Bet you don't," said Sweep. "I'll win," said Sooty. "That is enough," said Matthew. "None of you will win if you start arguing again. Now come on into the other room and I'll give you your pens and paper." Sooty, Sweep and Sue followed Matthew into the lounge and sat quietly at the table while he handed out the pens and paper. "Draw whatever you like and take as long as you like. Just do it quietly. I'll be in the kitchen doing the washing up." Matthew left them to it, satisfied that he was in for a quiet day. He glanced out of the kitchen window. It was still raining. Matthew quickly got through washing the breakfast dishes, and hearing no sound from the living room, he peeped in. Sooty, Sweep and Sue were busily drawing. They were as quiet as mice, and the only sound to be heard was a scratching of felt tips on paper. Matthew was pleased. What a good idea it had been to have a drawing competition. Tiptoeing quietly past them, he went into his study and switched on the television. Ah, good! There was a cartoon on. He settled down in his favourite chair and was soon laughing out loud at the antics of the cartoon characters. "Oh, ho, ho, ho!" he roared. He turned the volume up louder. He laughed so loudly as Tom chased Jerry with the brush. "Oh, this is so funny!" Suddenly he was aware that Sooty, Sweep and Sue had entered the room. "Oh, hello, you three. Finished already?" "As a matter of fact, we have, Matthew. No thanks to you," Sue said angrily. "Me? What have I done?" said Matthew. "You were making so much noise that we could barely concentrate on our drawing," said Sooty. "Yes, you make more noise than the 3 of us together," said Sweep. Matthew felt so ashamed. Of course they were right. He had been making a din. "You're quite right, Sooty, Sweep and Sue. I'm very sorry. I've no right to tell you off for making a noise and then start being noisy myself." "Oh, it's all right, Matthew," said Sooty. "We'll let you off this time. Now, will you look at our pictures and tell us who has won?" Matthew looked first at Sooty's picture. The paper had been completely covered in black ink. "What's this?" he said. "It's a drawing of a black cat at midnight," said Sooty. "Really, Sooty, you get worse. Let's have a look at yours, Sweep." Sweep's paper had been painted completely white. "And what is this, Sweep?" "It's a white cat in the snow," Sweep replied. "A white cat? Oh, I see. Or rather, I don't see," Matthew said. "OK, Sue, what have you got for me?" Sue's paper had been coloured yellow. "Go on, Sue. Tell me the worst." "Why, Matthew, it's a Chinese cat in the desert, of course," remarked Sue. "Now tell us, who has won the prize?" Matthew didn't know which was best. They were all very good. "You've all won a prize," he said finally. "Oh, good! What's the prize? What's the prize?" they all demanded. "The prize is..." Matthew couldn't think what prize to award. "The prize is..." Just then, he glanced out of the window. "It has stopped raining, so you can all play out in the garden." "Really, Matthew," said Sooty, Sweep and Sue, "you get worse."